Hey, this is Carlos. Welcome back. And today on my Secrets to Unlock His Heart, I want to talk about how to tell if a guy likes you. See, I've been answering quite a bit of my readers' questions lately, and one of them caught my eye. It was particularly interesting. She says, Carlos, I bought two of your programs, Irresistible Desire and Forever Yours. And she says, I absolutely love them, and I learned a lot from them, so thanks for that. You rightly state that men are like rubber bands, which is absolutely true. I used to get upset about it, but now I just leave them alone and they come back, which is very good. That's a very healthy attitude to take towards it. She says, but my problem is that they keep doing it. They contact me, then they pull away, then they contact me again. I guess my question is, what do I actually do when they do text me back? Getting upset was not working, but playing it cool as if nothing happened doesn't work either, as they keep doing it, so I'm at a loss. On top of that, what usually happens is that I meet guys, they invite me out once or twice, but then they start doing that I appear, I disappear texting game, but they don't actually ask me out again. So the question is, how do I get them to either ask me out or leave me alone? Well, kind of two extremes there, but yeah. Keep in mind that I'm Italian, so I'm used to guys who are very masculine and active pursuing, and that according to my American girlfriends, I'm a bit too passive when I text American guys. That could very well be. However, on a few occasions, I pushed myself to be more active and initiated texting more, although I would not ask them directly, but it still doesn't seem to change the dynamic. I feel that they do it even more. I asked directly a few guys, and the answers that I got from them were, you're tall, Italian, and intimidating. I'm just a shy guy. You sounded like you weren't interested. I thought you just wanted to have fun. I thought I had to play games because that's how it works with American girls. Well, all of these different replies have confused me even further. Consider that somehow, although I am a very insecure person, I attract men like honey attracts bees, so I have dated hundreds of guys. Therefore, I'm not basing this on a few experiences. I am starting to think that there is something very wrong with me. Please let me know what you think. Okay, well, Christina, there's nothing wrong with you, and it's one of those things that we do often get caught up in is we start to think, well, if I'm not getting the results that I want, or if things aren't working quite right, you do start to doubt yourself, right? You think there's something wrong or something possibly defective about you. But then again, it's also a double-edged sword because we don't want to think that, so we start to push that thought away, and we, again, push the blame back on the guy until we figure out, there's still something going on here. So let me give you my answer to your situation. First of all, thanks for that great question. It's one that plagues a lot of women who know deep in their heart that they are attractive, but they just can't seem to understand why so many men get scared and run. As an Italian guy, I can also relate to the cultural differences that some men and women find hard to understand as well. It's not always commitment phobia that makes men pull away, and it's very rarely whatever the reason is that he tells you. It's almost never the reason he's telling you verbally. It's one of the big mistakes, or one of the worst mistakes in dating and relationships, is to actually listen to the words people say when they try to explain their actions. We hear their words and we actually start to believe that they are able to tell us in clear, rational terms the irrational, real story of why they did what they did. So keep this in mind. This is a fundamental rule of human behavior. We make irrational, emotional decisions, and then we justify them with logic. Okay? This is absolutely true for every single person on this planet. As much as we want to believe otherwise, it's simply not the case. We make irrational decisions and then we justify them with logic. Take, for example, I can give you one example right now. This guy who goes to the local electronics store might be somebody that looks a little bit like me. And he sees a new 2,000-inch plasma supercharged flat panel 3D smart television that he just has to have. Well, his heart skips a beat, and then his palms start to sweat. He's imagining watching his favorite action movie on that new big screen. He can't imagine the stunned and jealous faces of his friends as they see his new acquisition. He can see that, right? That's one of those irrational drivers. And as he hands the cashier his Visa card and the clerk goes back to the stockroom to get the box, he starts to rationalize his impulsive decision to buy that $5,000 monster TV. The rationalization is, my old flat screen, it was old, it was on its last legs anyways, even though it's only 2 years old. Hello. And the rationalization is, this one has the interface that the new Uber Goflixion menu that connects to any PlayStation, which of course does nothing that he couldn't do with a few extra key presses of his old remote control, right? Or another rationalization, I can give that old television to my mom, which sounds like a great way to justify anything, right? Just give the old one to mom. Well, you see what happened there, right? You see how we took a gut emotional decision and basically reverse engineered it to sound pretty smart? It's the same process for a guy who really wants that cool new gadget, or that woman who tried on a really expensive pair of shoes that she just wanted to see how they look, when in fact she was really hoping to fall in love with those shoes and give herself that final push she needed to buy them, right? She knows that if she can create the right situation to justify it, she can just accidentally hand over that credit card in an act of weakness. And then she can come up with any old excuse as to why she just had to have those shoes. The funny thing is that we can do this all day long and still tell ourselves that we're not doing it at all. We do that all the time. We hypnotize ourselves that we have perfectly valid justifications for our wildly emotional decisions. But the truth is, the guys often do this with women that they're afraid to date. There's a proverb that there's two reasons we do something: the one we tell other people and the real reason. So these guys gave you some confusing and distracting reasons, right, as to why they weren't following up with you. Well, Christina, maybe it was this guy who revealed the real reason, the one who said, "I'm just a shy guy." That guy at least realizes that he was the one who failed to act, right? He knew he didn't act, but shyness is actually a pretty tame reason to not follow through with a woman that you were interested to start something up with. It's actually kind of weak. So maybe it's really the other guy, the one who said you're tall, Italian, and intimidating, who's at least telling the truth about his fears, right? He's intimidated. He's afraid. He's fearful. After all, many women are intimidated and intimidating to some guys. And the reality is that we men don't like to have our jobs stolen by the ladies, frankly. And by job, I don't mean job in the workplace. I mean job as in our job in starting up a relationship. You see, men sincerely are looking for feminine women to date and marry. And I want to be clear that it's not because we feel threatened by empowered women or any of that nonsense. It comes back to the simple desire that we guys really crave the embrace and experience of, I guess you call it, the raw feminine sexual energy that we desire so much. I don't mean that in a weird woo spiritual way. The bottom line is that men are attracted to women who are women, not women behaving like men. And here's another reason that men pull the appearing and disappearing act that you're talking about too, Christina. Sometimes some guys just like to play with the energy. You know, they just don't have the balls to jump in and really risk playing the game with you. The modern man has what I call scaredy cat game with women. This is where he doesn't want to risk the possibility of rejection, so he keeps some women around as both validation and as a possibility for later. His consolation prizes, basically. He gets to admire from afar without risking. But ultimately, it does come down to something different in the way you're handling these guys. I went through a spell where women were constantly letting me get my foot in the door. I kind of got things started, feeling like I was getting a real romantic connection until they slammed the door right down on me before things got sexually intimate. And this happened about a dozen times, and it had me to the point where I was literally screaming out the window of my Jeep on the way home from dates. I did that. That was me. If you heard me, you saw the Jeep, that was me. It seemed crazy that I could be running into women that did the same thing to me over and over and over again. It was like they had this giant conspiracy against me or something. And then I realized what was common to all these situations. I discovered the one thing that was the same in all of them. You know what it was? It was me. And when I finally figured it out, I was finally able to stop looking at them as being the problem. And funny enough, it was also when I stopped seeing them as the problem that's when I figured it all out. Now, you might think my little story means that I think you're the problem, Christina. But the truth is, I don't know. But I do know the power of dynamics in dating between men and women. We've always have a part in creating the energy of our relationships, and we also play a part in repelling or pushing them away too. You might be culturally handicapped from being around more of those aggressive Italian guys, so you might not be giving them the signals that these guys need to let themselves jump into pursuit mode with you. They're not getting enough indicators of interest. What I would recommend is that you take a long look at your text communication with these guys and have a girlfriend look at them too. Somewhere in there is a hint as to why they're losing their nerve to pursue you. And you'll continue to discover more as you delve deeper into those programs you got in mind, the Irresistible Desire and Forever Yours programs, where I reveal those signals that men need to see to open up their hearts, to fall head over heels for you, and worship basically the ground that you walk on. And you can find out more about that too go on over to datingadviceguru.com. Click on the link at the top for either irresistible, or excuse me, on the side that says Irresistible Desire or Forever Yours, and watch my videos where I explain about some of these hidden signals that men are looking for. A lot of women don't realize that basically what they need to do is show a kind of, dare I say, secret handshake, and that's what men kind of need to see. They need to, and it's not literally a secret handshake, but it is a signal that tells him that it's okay for him to open up and basically unlock his heart for you. And that's what you need to know. You need to know those signals. Go on over to datingadviceguru.com and check out the programs Irresistible Desire, Forever Yours, and I will be talking to you again soon. This is Carlos Cavallo from datingadviceguru.com.